have an interesting problem. So first I listened to Funny. I thought, oh wow, what a great presentation. Then there was Sean. I was like, oh, mind blowing. And then there's Harsha Bhogle. So I'm speaking after him. So I'm not sure if I can do such a great presentation. But here's an attempt. It's a very personal story. It's more about my journey as an entrepreneur and how in the last 3 years a lot of my perceptions, a lot of my views have changed just because I have started up something on my own. So I'll be talking about 6 to 7 stories of different people, the first one being my own and why actually I set out on this journey. So yeah, it started with a very simple dream. I said I completed my master's in social work and I thought, okay, I have a very simple dream. I can actually change the world now. So that's how you are actually trained when you are, professionally trained as a social worker. You begin to believe that you can actually fix any social problem. And then I realized that it's not that simple. My first job was with an NGO that was working with people living with HIV/AIDS, and I realized that my NGO was actually selling away free drugs that was being given to them by NACO, and they were actually turning patients away, saying that we don't have these drugs, but they were actually selling those in the local pharmacy. For me, that was welcome to the real world. So all that feeling of empowerment and that positivity about I can change the world actually started. I took a step back and I said, time to do a reality check. So that was my first brush with professional social work, and it was not that great, but being the kind of person I am, I said, I'm not going to give up. Let's try and see what the world has in store. So that led me to work with different non-profit organizations in India, and I also had the opportunity to work with the local government in UK. So both experiences actually were, in some sense, a great learning curve for me, because it brought out the fact that the civil society has lost its faith in the non-profit space, because there's a lot to be done here in terms of transparency, in terms of accountability. So wherever I went, this was the underlying thought that came across very strongly. In 2006, when Mr. Yunus actually won the Nobel Prize, that was when I was introduced to the concept of microcredit. And until then, even though I was so socially active and worked in the non-profit space, microfinance was still very unheard of. I didn't know anything about it. So in December 2006, when he actually won the Nobel Prize, I said, what is this microfinance all about? So that's how my journey as an entrepreneur began. I was very inspired by what he did in Bangladesh. I thought Bangladesh needs it. India has the likes of SBI and NABARD, and there's absolutely no need for microcredit in India. But then I knew that I was wrong again. I saw that there was already a booming space, booming microfinance institutions in India, and then realized that they're still not able to address the problem. So what were those problems? So that led me to 2 problems, and that's how my journey with Rangde began. And the first problem, which I thought was very disturbing, was that the poor in India actually pay rich interest rates. So if you can think about, you going to a bank and borrowing a loan, and what a poor person actually borrows the loans at, the interest rates there's absolutely no comparison between the two. So for me, that was very disturbing. They said, if microcredit is indeed a powerful tool and it can alleviate poverty, then it needs to come to the poor person at a time and at a cost that makes sense to him or her. The second problem, the rich and the growing divide between the rich and the poor. With growing high rises, we have also begun to alienate ourselves from our surroundings. We have a domestic help who actually comes and works for us. Our interaction with her ends after the 2 hours. After that, we don't know who she is. So this growing divide for me was a concern. So Rangde, in some sense, tried to marry the 2 concepts, so the 2 problems rather, the interest rates that the poor were paying and the disconnect between the rich and the poor, which was growing in India. So yeah, that was a little about my story, the problems that actually led me to start Rangde, and now I start with stories from my own experience of working with people through Rangde. So first we have Kanakamma. She is from Andhra Pradesh, a migrant who decided to leave Andhra Pradesh and go to Orissa in search of better pastures. She can't still point out the exact reason why she actually traveled to Orissa and the reason for choosing Orissa. She started there as a vegetable vendor, and she had a big family to look after. She had been in Orissa for close to 10 years, but had absolutely no access to any form of credit. And she lives in a very remote area in Orissa where microfinance was still scarce. So she used to go to the local money lender every day and borrow at 10% per month. And that was, that was her only access to credit. And so what did it do to Kanakamma? It made sure that she never is able to come out of poverty, in spite of the fact that she was trying to become self-reliant. She had her own business, she was not really begging, or she was not really depending on other people's charity. But at the same time, there was absolutely no access to opportunities for her to get out of poverty. When I met Kanakamma, for me, that was an eye-opener, because sitting here, it is very difficult for any one of us to imagine how a 5,000 rupee loan or a 1,000 rupee loan can actually change somebody's life. But when I actually met Kanakamma and she spoke to me about how a loan can make a difference, for me, it was a big, big eye-opener. And at that point, I felt this journey that I have started with Rangde is going to be a lot more meaningful than I ever imagined. So in some sense, every person that I have met, be it from the community or be it from a volunteer or chapter community, they have reinforced the fact that whatever we have set out to do makes a lot of sense. A similar story with Archana. If you look at all the beautiful flowers that you get in fancy looking shops like Mother Earth and Fab India, these actually come from entrepreneurs like Archana. And when I actually visited her and saw her small warehouse beautifully stacked up with these products and the aspirations and what she wants to do, I think it was the best experience of my life. To see that, and the kind of background she comes from, she has no formal education, she is financially almost an illiterate, but she knows exactly how to run her business and what it is she needs to actually expand her business. So that for me was a deep realization that you don't really need formal education to run a business, but she had that fire in the belly to actually take her business to the next level. Papita is an interesting story actually. The name Papita for me was very strange, and when I actually met her, I realized that she actually sells the fruit for a living, and to me it was like, why would anybody name someone Papita? But then when I spoke to her, the kind of confidence with which she runs her business, the person who's actually standing next to her is her husband, and he doesn't do anything to earn the living. So the family is dependent on Papita selling those fruits to actually make their ends meet. And to be honest, Papita was truly a leader without a title. She was actually inspiring her other women in the community to get out of their situation, because most of them were involved as daily wage laborers, and she was actually inspiring them to get out of, saying, why don't you start something on your own? You can do a lot better than what you're doing now. You don't have to rely on all the coolie work just to make your ends meet. To see Papita doing that, and to also think that she herself comes from such tough backgrounds, was a fantastic experience. We always think, when you're a non-profit, you always tend to think that you are changing somebody's life, that there are beneficiaries, there are recipients of your service who are being benefited by this. At Rangde, I have seen that it's a lot different. There's also the volunteers, there's also people who are donating money or lending money who undergo, a similar life-changing experience. So to give you an example, Mitesh from Mumbai, who's a techie, who spends most of his time in front of his laptop and hasn't done anything apart from his work after he's completed his education. After he got associated with our organization, he went on to set up a Mumbai chapter for us. And his experience after having interacting with the entrepreneurs has been an equally life-changing experience for him as it would have been for Kanakamma. So I think the way we actually look at how to get associated with causes and what different people get out of it needs some amount of rethinking, and this is what I have seen in my limited experience. Yeah, a similar experience with Gautam, who is an investment banker, who actually decided to take a break from his work. So, to give you a brief hint of how Gautam's schedule is, if you want to talk to him, you actually have to set up an appointment. He's that busy. He actually made it a point to take off on a vacation to Orissa to meet some entrepreneurs who had received loans to run their business. And for him, he could not even imagine how a loan could actually make a difference. So he went off on this vacation, came back with a strong resolution that 2 years down the line, he is going to become a social entrepreneur. That he has specific problems he knows that people of Orissa have, which he can fix with his business models. So I think for me, when Gautam actually came back from his field trip and shared his experience with me, that's when I realized again that it's a life-changing process at both the ends. And Waheeda Rehman. I always used to think that celebrities and brand endorsements and everything is a big farce, and that it's all about the money and everything. And an interaction with Waheeda Rehman actually changed my ideas about that. And she happened to get in touch with us to get associated with the cause. And a 72-year-old lady actually going off to a remote part of Maharashtra to see how things were working in rural areas. For me, that again was a questioning of my own beliefs, my own prejudices, and that and the fact that we need to be willing and open enough to accept change, and that there's help that can come out of unexpected quarters, and we need to be willing to accept it. So in this journey of about 3.5 years, these were just 6 stories of the different people I have met. So more than what Rangde has been, or the organization has been able to do to other people, for me it's what I have been able to take back as an entrepreneur. And believe me, it's been the most fulfilling experience of my life. Every day has been a new day, and I have learned that there's a lot more to learn. As an entrepreneur, as a social entrepreneur, and being part of the startup has been the best experience of my life. Thank you.